Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Translating Love with me, Woifi.
And Dani.
Hello, Dani.
Hello, Woifi. How are you today?
I'm exhausted.
Really?
Yeah.
Me too.
I had a pitch meeting today on Zoom. Or not on Zoom, on Teams, Microsoft Teams, and I tanked it.
You had to pitch something.
I had to pitch something, and I tanked it because I didn't tank it, but for some reason my microphone didn't work at all.
Oh, so.
And it works always perfectly every time, but this time it didn't. And so I had to figure out how to do it. And 10 minutes passed by me trying to get it together and get it to work. And then it worked. And then I don't know, the whole presentation kind of was a shit show.
Sorry.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm dropping everything today. Like everything.
What is today? Today's Wednesday, yeah?
As if that means something. I'm like on my way to work and I'm getting ready and I dropped like 4 things while I was getting ready at different times, not all at once.
You know, in a month we have our wedding day.
I know.
That's exciting.
I have to work on that day.
Oh.
You do too. It's a Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
But not our wedding day, it's our anniversary. Yeah. But I was dropping everything. And then I dropped things while I was walking somehow. And then I dropped shit when I was at work multiple times. I'm just, I don't know what it is today.
Nice. But I have those days too where I just drop things all the time.
Like all day.
Yeah, I have that too. I don't know what is weird. That is just a weird thing sometimes. Yeah. I have to say that we have to step up the podcast game.
The podcast, but how so? How do we
step up the podcast game? I don't know. I
game?
feel like we started super good, like with the first 2 episodes in the new year, and it's, I mean, considering it's the 4th, I think, this in 2021.
But what do you mean?
And I feel like our
you think
energy,
our content is not good?
Not the content, but I think our energy has been, I mean, at least on my part, what I can say, has been a little damp.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. But we have another.
I think we're just getting comfortable talking in the podcast format.
Maybe.
And it's, I don't know, it all seems a lot easier. I don't have to spend so much time editing anymore because we don't make like a ton of mistakes and we can just, so everything goes a little smoother and quicker now.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe it's also because we don't get as many feedbacks anymore as we used to. So maybe people are like, I don't care about this anymore.
We also started this podcast and then a pandemic happened and people were really into podcasts, I think, in the beginning because it's like, what else can we do? They're finding so much to do. And I think, I don't know. I mean, even I have fallen out of my normal podcast routine of like what I listen to.
Nah, sure.
And I'm trying to get back into it now.
Me
but
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to bring a nice or interesting or funny topics to you each week.
Funny.
Sometimes they're funny.
I mean, the topics are not really funny.
No, they're fun, but the episodes.
You're funny.
I'm funny, right?
And I'm funny sometimes too.
And
it's okay if you say sometimes.
She's funny sometimes too. But we have a new topic for you today, and we already dipped into the whole thing a little bit in some other way or form. But the topic today is like comparing yourself to others, and maybe how to stop that, because it can be really toxic to you and to your relationship. But maybe let's start with how you experience comparing yourself to others and what it does to you.
Yeah, I mean, mine is not so much on a relationship level, which we'll also talk about.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more.
You're very engaging.
Yes.
I'll get to my I'll get to like the relationship aspect for me, but for the most part, I compare like people to myself. So it's not about comparing my relationship to somebody else's relationship, like, you know, you see a couple on Instagram and you're like, oh, they really have it together, you know.
But I think most people compare themselves to other people, but that alone can affect the relationship because it affects your mood, it affects how you see yourself, it can affect your what I'm thinking of, like what you think of yourself, like your self-worth.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about this on the podcast before, so I won't go super into detail, but for me, it's more like it is for a lot of women where I have body image issues and, you know, self-love issues, which is much less so nowadays. But, you know, you get into these moods where I like body dysmorphia and stuff, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I see only flaws.
Yeah.
And then you go on social media and you see only perfection, and it just like drills it into your head more. And I mean, for me, I stopped, like I've said multiple times before, I stopped following a lot of accounts. If looking at their profile doesn't make me feel good, I don't follow it, because what's the point?
I mean, we talked about this in the social media episode or whatever it's called.
But so for me, I mean, it comes in waves now. It used to be pretty constant, and now it comes in waves, and I'm kind of in the middle of a wave right now. But
up or down?
I mean, the middle of the wave, it's like at the peak of the wave. I think it's going to start going down now.
Okay. Got it.
But yeah. But in terms of relationships, I mean, I don't know. I think most people these days see relationships, like when they compare their relationship to other relationships, that's a thing. And for me, I do that, but with people I actually know. So like when a bunch of our friends started getting pregnant, you know, all at the same time, that was weirdly hard for me, because that's something I want so bad, but it's just not time yet. And so it's like this weird, like I'm super happy for them, but for myself, I'm super sad. And it was like that was a really weird time for me. Also as a woman, but that's another story with all of the fears and shit that brings.
Sure.
But in terms of comparing the actual relationship, I don't really do that.
I mean, I think that's something, I don't know, maybe I am wrong, but maybe that's something you do when you're a little younger and you are not as experienced in relationships, because then you see like how your friend supposedly acts on social media with their girlfriend, or what they do and stuff.
Supposedly. When you said it like Joey says it, supposedly.
Yeah. But I don't know, I don't do it either. For me, it's mostly work related, or like in the profession I am in, and I stopped following certain accounts, especially on social media too. Because the thing is, especially, I don't like to call myself an artist, because I don't think
you are.
Okay.
But it's fine. You don't have to call yourself one.
But I mean, I'm putting things out there, and it's creative, and it's and with every creative form, you first of all, when you show it, you make yourself vulnerable, and also you by the way, there's a video out I made recently about my 10th year anniversary of my accident, if you want to watch that. I put it in the description. But
shameless plug.
But that, I think that's the hardest for me, because, you know, especially when I don't have that much to work, or things that I'm not super fond of, I tend to be more, I don't know, drawn to other people and see what they're doing. And then you see what, you know, they are filming again, or they're out and about and doing some really cool work for that company.
Yeah.
And I start to compare myself to that, and it's like, I want to do that. Why can't I be there? Why can't I be at that level? Or I look at something really cool, I edit it really cool.
Yeah, but I would say that probably the majority of those people that you're looking at are not in Austria.
Yeah. No, I'm talking.
Even in Austria?
I'm talking about people that I know.
Oh, that you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly people that I know. Yeah.
Because if you're looking at accounts in the U.S., you can basically U.S., but you can basically forget that shit, because they don't have any rules about not being able to go anywhere anyways.
I mean, what I mean out and about, I mean more in the, like, in a safe way, sure, with masks and distancing, but they're you know, they're filming on location and having cool projects, and I'm sitting alone in my office crying every day. No, but I don't know. That's the way I compare myself to people, and it makes me feel shitty. And especially in the beginnings, now it's not as much anymore because I stopped following people for that reason. But it's super hard to not get drawn and sucked into that notion of comparing yourself and basically making yourself believe that, first of all, you are all the same, and second, that your path has to be as that other person's path, you know.
And how do you think for you that affects our relationship when you get into like those heavier times of comparing yourself where it like starts to overwhelm you a little bit?
I mean, it's common thing that, you know, then your mood swings, you maybe are not as like funny, active, happy, whatever. And I don't know. And
I mean, for you, I noticed, and this is with anything, that when you, not just that kind of thing, but when you're stressed or when you are anxious or whatever it is, you tend to be on your phone a lot more.
That
I do
as
the
well.
same.
And that's like the crucial thing, because that's like basically, I don't know, like a vicious circle you get drawn into, and you should not do that more, but you do. And I don't know. It's just, the thing is, it sucks, and you have to, for me, it's like, I mean, it's for everyone, but you have to just tell yourself that the path you are walking on is fine, and at the pace and whatever. And
there's no like schedule.
Right.
There's no schedule that everyone gets handed at birth, and it's like you have to accomplish these things by this age. It's you do it at your own pace, and it's not wrong.
Right, and your accomplishments can be completely different to other people's, and that's, I think, especially in the creative form or work, that's the beauty of it, because everyone's different. And sure, you can try to copy and mimic people, but I think that the beauty is that everyone tries to like give their work their own voice. And that's why I had a hard time starting my business, because I thought, like, who would hire me, because there's so many other people out there who do such a better job in the things they do. Why would someone hire me? But it's
interesting though, because that's so common among especially people in like creative fields.
Yeah.
Like I always think of music when I think of creative fields, because I play music and my brother plays music, and it's the same. Like when it's the same. That man can write the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. Not just musically, like melodically, but also lyrically, where it's so unbelievable that he wrote that.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here trying to find a rhyme for dog or just, you know, like I have a very simple way of writing, but I compare myself constantly to that, where I'm like, what's the point of me even writing something because my brother could write it way better. And I think that's common with people in creative fields, not just music, but art and
I mean, for me,
video.
The last couple of months and years have proven that, first of all, there's a market for me out there. Otherwise, I would not be as successful as I am. And there are people out there who like the style of things I do, even though they might not be like super trendy. I don't like to go with the trends. I like to keep it simple. And
I mean, you have a very unique style. Like when I watch a video, I know if it's yours. Like if you could put two different videos of a similar theme in front of me, and I would know which one is yours right away.
See, it's funny. I don't see that. But the thing is, people see my work and they hire me for my work, and that basically makes me feel good, and also makes me feel like, okay, I have a place, and therefore I don't have to feel to compare myself with other people. Because the thing is, you can never live up to a comparison, because those are just other people. You are not the same, and that's the beauty in it. And I think that goes along with every comparison.
And you should also take pride in that. Take pride that you're not the same person.
And also,
because you get to then be your own person. You get to decide for yourself what your life's going to look like and what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
And the path that you take to get there and the time that you take to get there is completely up to you. And I think that's kind of cool.
And also try to embrace those unique skills or unique ways of how you do things. Because that that's something that makes you unique, I think.
Let's before we go into like, because I want to kind of round it out of how it comes into relationships more, but let's maybe take a quick break first and talk about it later.
Break.
Give me a break.
And we're back. So in the break, we just made a cake, cooked dinner, and swept the floors.
He did all of that. I just sat on my ass.
Right. So the relationship aspect of the whole thing. I mean, I think it doesn't matter who you compare to. If it's like you compare to another person, if you compare yourself to another couple or whatever, in any way or form, comparison is destructive and is toxic. And there are many ways where, I mean, we already talked about it, where it can affect your mood. You can, I don't know, there's so many things you can put.
I mean, you can get really unrealistic expectations of your
that's
partner or of your relationship.
Or of yourself. Yeah.
You fell in love with the person that you fell in love with for a reason.
Yeah.
But then to all of a sudden have these expectations, like there are things like, for me, I don't compare myself to couples like on Instagram or whatever, but sometimes I get those little thoughts when I'm watching a movie or a show because of how the characters are written, and I love how they're written so much that I'm like, man, what a relationship that is, you know, even though it's fake. And you know it's fake because they're actors. But for me, it's like, okay, that's an unrealistic expectation then, because first of all, someone who wrote these characters to be exactly that, to be something that's not normal.
Yeah, that's true.
And also it's like, I can't expect certain things of you that I know aren't part of who you are.
Yeah. And with that along comes jealousy and dissatisfied thoughts, or in general, you're just dissatisfied with the relationship, which is for no reason. There's no reason to feel like that, but social media and just comparing yourself to other people or lives, they show typically the good things, the positive things, the also a little fake most of the time, and yeah, that can mess with your head. And there are a lot of other ways how and why it can affect your relationship. But I think, I mean, one of the biggest ones is just in the sense that you lose what's important about your relationship and what the good thing and the
and why you went into the relationship in the first place.
Right. And with that, there comes a lot of other stuff. I mean, we talked about it already. So I think the bottom line of the whole thing is stop being on social media if you feel like, okay, you're comparing yourself.
Or just take a break for a while.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah. Take a break. And feed yourself with positive things that help you overcome that feeling of, you know, I want to be that person, or why can't I be like that? And also, I don't know, be yourself.
Well, and, you know, it always comes back to this with us, but communication. Talk with your partner about what you're feeling, because, I mean, that's the thing. We've talked about this probably in the episode about love languages, which is a great episode. But for me, it's like I really like physical touch and words of affirmation. And physical touch is pretty low on Woifi's list of ways that he feels love. And so it's one of those things where you have to compromise with your partner, and you have to talk to your partner about, hey, this would make me feel really good. So if like maybe you see, you know, on a show or something, you see a couple who's like really lovey-dovey and, you know, touchy-feely with each other. And that reminds you that always reminds me of my love language. Yep. And so that's something that you should talk about with your partner instead of being resentful of them, or instead of, I don't know, comparing your relationship to this other relationship. Also, that you can just talk to them and say, hey, I would really appreciate if we could like do more things like this.
That's a good point, because that brings me to the search within your relationship. You usually, when you compare yourself to others or to some things, then you go outside and search for something outside of your relationship, outside of your. I mean, you can't. What would you do? I mean, you can search for inspiration, yeah. But if you compare yourself, that doesn't bring you anything. So you can look at other people's Instagram and see, hey, look, they're going hiking. We should do that, and then do that, because you have the power and you have the tools probably to also create some really cool memories or adventures for yourself with your partner.
Well, and also just another important thing to note is that social media does not define if your life is good or bad.
Right.
How many likes you have, how many followers you have, how good of a photographer you are. Who cares? I mean, that's nothing. It's one of those things where they say, like, Instagram is basically a highlight reel of everybody's lives.
Yeah.
And there are some who are trying to be more, and now a lot, who are trying to be more open and real on their Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
But I think that's super important to remember, because you're comparing yourself with someone's highlight reel and not realizing, hey, they also have bad days. They also have struggles. Yeah. This person they don't have this perfect life all the time. It's just like everybody. Nobody has a perfect life all the time.
Right. And I think that's also a good point, because you can go to your friends and sit down and talk with them for real. Like, start a real conversation. Like, say, hey, last week, me and my partner, we had a really rough fight, and we fought again over money, or this thing came up again because of my ex or whatever, something like that, something real. And you will see that they are having struggles too. They are real people. Everyone has things going on.
And it also brings your relationship closer with your friends too, because you start talking about things where you realize, oh, they're struggling with the same things we are. We're all human and we're all the same, even though we're different.
And then maybe your view on their perfect relationship will become more realistic in the sense, hey, they love each other, but they also have problems. And maybe they even are in couple counseling, or, they go to therapy, stuff like that. And that gives you a more realistic view of how people really are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, we talked about jealousy. We had the jealousy episode out a couple of weeks ago, which is also a great one. But I mean, jealousy is negative, but you can, as I said already, turn that into action, turn that into something positive. Yeah. But you see something that makes you jealous, and maybe you can adapt that. Maybe you can see this as an inspiration. Maybe you can say, hey, let's fucking do that. Yeah. Let's, I don't know, once the world is open again, let's go to New Zealand and, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it also doesn't have to be something so massive. It can be as simple as you said before, like, oh, they hike a lot. Yeah. Let's start hiking, see if you like it. Or let's, try some sort of like group sport or something together.
Or just as simple as a date night, or cook for each other, stuff like that.
Start to like get into a little routine with each other where we were just talking to, which I thought was so sweet, our neighbor we ran into when we went for a walk. And our neighbor, Margit was, I wasn't trying to think of her name.
Coming home from work.
I was just thinking of, that's what I was thinking. She was coming home from work, and we just stopped to chat for a little bit. And she said, it was Friday, and she said, oh, I'm really excited because now I get to go home and Martin is cooking.
Her husband.
And apparently that's been a ritual for them
for years,
where he cooks every Friday.
Yeah.
So when she's done with work, she just gets to chill. She comes home. She looks forward to it every Friday. And I think that's a really sweet little tradition that they started together. Yeah. And just little things like that I think are really nice, where you're like, oh, let's every Friday or every Saturday we cook together, or we bake something together, where you find some sort of activity that you both want to try. Or do it like, I was just about to say abwechselnd in German. Do it in like a rotation where it's like, this Friday we do something that I want to do. Yeah. And then the next Friday you get to pick something that we do. And you just do it together with no complaints, and just try to appreciate what the other person wants to do. I mean, you could still say,
fuck it, no, I'm not doing that.
It's kind of not the point.
But that's not the point, right? But you always have the option to do that. So if you really don't like it, say, fuck it, I'm not doing that. You can climb down that hole.
That would be you like every week when it was my turn. Fuck it, I'm not doing that.
That's not true. If you make me climb down a hole, I might say that.
I have claustrophobia, so I wouldn't go in a hole.
That's why you want me to go in a hole.
No, it's something we do together. Oh. So I would have to go too. And I also would be panicking if you went in, so.
Let's not go in a hole.
We're not going in a hole. No like cave diving or anything like that. No, thank you. But if that's something you're into, try it.
But, I mean, we already said it. if you have, like, if you are on social media and you know scrolling through and you look at things, and you also have this feeling of comparing yourself to others, and it weighs you down, the easiest thing is to just take a break or get rid of people who make you feel bad. But just take a break. I mean, overall, social media breaks are a good thing.
Yeah.
Or limit your time to like a really small amount each day.
I have to say the last like month, I'm rarely on Instagram. I think I've posted once or twice, but I rarely go. I don't aimlessly scroll anymore.
That's so annoying.
I haven't done that in like 2 weeks, which sounds like nothing, but that's a lot.
That's not true. Last week.
Not aimlessly scrolling.
I mean, you watched so many reels on, when did I play? You were laying in the bed. It was on the weekend.
No, you weren't playing. You weren't playing, and I was in the bed.
Yeah, I was playing with
Oh,
Toby.
yeah, because my dad sent me some.
Yeah, you sent me 1,000
I know.
reels.
I resent the of dogs.
So.
No, but it's rare. That was
rare.
like one time, and otherwise I don't like scroll through the feed really anymore. I just don't care at this point. And I keep up with people that I like who are there.
Yeah.
If that's like how I communicate with them, but otherwise, and it feels so good. It's like you feel so attached to it. And like you need it. It's like an addiction.
It's an addiction.
But once you let it go, you realize how unnecessary it is.
It is.
It's really interesting.
We have been all living lives before that shit. So.
But it's so interesting to me now. Like I might click on Instagram like instinctually. You know, you just kind of like click on it as a reflex, and then I close it right away because I'm like, this is boring. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I think it's fascinating. But yeah, try it. Just take a couple days. Don't be on it as much.
And that's it.
And that's it. Communication is key.
I hope you like this episode. We certainly do. And if you really liked it,
Don't speak for me.
No, God damn it, woman.
No, we really like this.
Right.
episode.
So if you like it too, please consider subscribing and sharing, and also giving us a good rating on Apple Podcasts. That would be really great because that helps us a lot. So if you haven't done that yet, or if you listen on Spotify, head over to Apple Podcasts and just like punch in a good rating for us. That would be awesome.
And quick news, isn't there a switch happening with Anchor and Spotify? Didn't Spotify buy Anchor?
Yeah, and?
Does anything change with our link or anything?
No.
So it's still anchor.fm/translating.
As for now, everything's the same.
Okay. We'll inform you if anything changes. But otherwise, nothing changes.
Yo. See you next week.
Bye. Bye. Goodbye.